G'day everybody, welcome back to GORDY's Gasbags. I hope you've all had a terrific week off just like I did. Big thanks to GORDY's grandma who stepped in for a couple of minutes every night to keep you entertained. Terrific to be back. We're actually hitting episode 25. This is insane. The bad part about it, Corona is still hanging about, but we are slowly getting there, which is great. And some news starting to filter and come out from the government, which is really good, and hopefully we'll be back to some sort of normality sooner rather than later. Who better than to kick GORDY's Gasbags week off with none other than the very first player to notch up 100 caps for Australia. It's an interesting story, and I have no doubt that she's going to tell us all about it. Vicki Wilson. Vix!
Oh, Gordy, what a rap. Thank you. And that 100 caps, tell you what, they were tougher than what anyone else has ever got 100, I swear. You know, because when I finished playing in 1999, I finished on 99 test caps. And I was happy with that because the great Sir Donald Bradman played 99 tests. So I've gone, oh my goodness, there's a parallel. Sir Donald and me, Sir Don Bradman and myself. And then I thought he had a 99 test average. So I was happy with that. And then the following year, Netball Australia had their annual dinner. And I got invited to it. And I've gone, why am I going to it? I don't want to go. And so I wrote back, I declined. And then they wrote back again and said, oh, no, it'd be great if you came down. I'm thinking, no, then I have to take a day off work and yada, yada, yada. So I went, no, I'm really busy at work. I have to do interviews and rah, rah. So then one day, the following day, my boss came in and he looked at me, he goes, so you're really busy? And I went, oh, no, not really. He goes, oh, for God's sake, will you get to Sydney for this dinner? I went, who rang you? He goes, doesn't matter, just go down and don't even worry about the time off. So down I went. I'm thinking, geez, they're really keen to get me here. I just don't know why. And then I thought, oh my God, they're giving me a service award. I'm too young for a service award. This is so embarrassing. Oh my God, I have to get my hair coloured. I went on. And I was sitting there, and on the night they've announced the service award winner, and I didn't win. And I've gone, on one hand I went, oh, thank God for that. And then on the other hand I'm going, what the hell am I doing here? I can't believe it. And then Sue Taylor, the president at the time of Netball Australia, she got up and she said, you know, when people play and, you know, we count the number of test caps and, you know, one player. And I'm thinking, yeah, I got 99, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking around and she said, now, we're just here to rectify a small mistake. And I started to sit up in my seat and I'm looking around. You see, we're here to congratulate and present Vicki Wilson with her 104th test cap. And I've gone, oh my goodness. Yes, there was a slight error in the counting of the test caps. And I remember when I got up and I accepted my my award from Sue. And I recalled how the count went. There was a work experience student, and she happened to be a netballer, and she was at university, and in the holidays she came in to work for Netball Australia, and she was responsible for the count and the adding up, because we didn't just do a tally for every game. So it was this big thing, a little project that this work experience student was working on. All I can say is thank God she didn't go on to become an accountant, because no one would make any money. But unfortunately for the law fraternity, Elizabeth Ellis went on to study law. She was a work experience student. So I couldn't be 99, but I was 104. But they're all good again.
I honestly believe that is one of the most golden stories in netball. The very first player to be capped 100 games, and it's a mistake made by the second player that goes on to be capped. You couldn't write that in a movie.
I could see Liz sitting there going, oh. So, nah. So all good in the end. So 104, I'm pretty happy with that. I think I'd like to get a number plate with VW 104.
Oh, you should.
I haven't got it.
Well, you should go and bloody do yourself a favour and do that, Vic. Hey, first thing I want to say, I love that artwork in the back. I'm always looking in people's houses. That's terrific.
There's a story with that one, actually. That was for the Archibald in 2000. It's painted by a local artist up here, Nick Fern, and she did a lot of work around she comes from Brisbane, and she did a lot of work, depicting happy, smiley places, and did a lot of Noosa. Anyway, so that's me with my grandmother's knees, being very casual, lying there. I'll just tip it around.
Yeah.
There you go.
Love it. The colour.
Yeah, the Archibald in 2000 had a special area like for sporting people, and that was the one. Yeah, so it was nice to do. So I like it. It's nice and bright. Yeah, it's nice and happy, and because it does have I do have my grandmother's knees. I look at it and I'm often thinking, the old girl, old man.
It's good. We need a bit of colour in these times, Vic. COVID, how's it been for you up there in Queensland?
Yeah, it's just like everyone else. You get in and you get stuck in and do the things that you want to do, but you just realise how much we rely on sport for our conversations and with our friends, with our family, and how much we love going to live sport, watching live sport on TV, whether it be netball or the football, but also, for you and I, we're involved in the sporting industry as a means of employment. So it's just put brakes on. So I've become a very good gardener and cook. Yeah. And I'm back cycling. I'm back in the Lycra. So I've done a 2-hour ride this morning. So the bike's all set and ready to go. And I've got to say I am loving that I can have time to go for a good ride every morning.
How many Ks do you clock over in 2 hours, Vic?
Actually, I don't know, to tell you the truth. I don't have a little tracking thing on. All I know is I'm reducing my time. How's that? I'm still competitive. I just want to reduce my time. But today I had an obstacle, and I rang up my brother to complain about the high tide. As I ride through the wetlands, and because it's a super moon on, I think, the 7th, the extra high tide, and the salt water was over the bike path. So I lost it this morning because then I have to come home and clean my bike. So not happy. Little things I worry about. And normally I go, don't worry about it, because I wouldn't have time to clean it. Now I've got time. I'm in there, like, cleaning every little part. Yeah, I hear you. It's good fun to be back out cycling.
Oh, that's good, mate. Hey, were you, I actually have never had this discussion with you, but did you do any other sport, or were you just like netball from the day dot?
No, I played softball as well. And
did you?
I loved softball. Yeah, loved it. So I played softball. So softball in summer, netball in winter.
Yep.
And I did that right up until I was made the Australian under-21 team. And then we had training camps throughout the summer. And then we went away in early in the year. So which was still in the softball season. So I loved it. I played. I was third base, shortstop. I was a bit brave, probably brave and stupid. I still love coming in, in the bunt for the bunt. So coming in short and lead off batter. I had a good eye for the ball.
A lot of people wouldn't have known that.
No. So, and I loved softball was more social than netball, and my God, we had a great time. We had a wonderful, wonderful time. So, and state championships. And
is that because you were, I don't know how good you were at softball, but was it more social because netball was looking like your livelihood?
Well, let's probably take it back. So softball from just at club level was more social. They had fundraising nights and they had a massive clubhouse and all of that. And so at netball, we still didn't have that. We couldn't have a barbecue and drinks afterwards. Certainly, as I progressed through, and the social side of netball certainly kicked in. But in those early years, and my dad really enjoyed coming to softball because they had a beer garden.
Yeah.
But netball, just standing on the sideline, just watch it. So it was the pig pen. So it was wonderful. It was So they were great days, and there were quite a few friends who played both. And then that's where I earned my money when I was at uni. I used to go and umpire softball for Brisbane Girls Grammar School, and I loved it. I used to stand behind the plate. I used to get paid $5 or $10 a game. I just loved it. And then I'd go off and play netball. But it was a lot of fun.
I always wonder whether netball, a lot of people out there are going to go, oh, Sue, but I always wonder whether netball maybe missed a little bit with the whole social side. It was almost like because it was female dominant that we don't socialise and have a drink afterwards, and we didn't get.
Well, I think we are pressed for room as well. If you look around the courts, I still know there are some associations that probably don't even have the shower block, for people to be able to get changed, or if they have, it's only come in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But it was that barbecue. It was standing around and then watching games, and also the field was lit, so you could stay and play day season during the day, and then the night games kicked in. So that's where that social side came in.
So when did you go, netball, this is it? Like, went through that? Yeah,
it was with that Australian under-21 team in 84. So
who coached that?
Annette Simper, a former Australian player from the ACT. Yeah, so Annette took that team and we toured New Zealand. And it was Tracy Earle, Shortland, played shooter in that team. Julie Townsend played in the team as well. Oh, sorry, not Julie. Oh, yeah, Julie Townsend.
Yep.
Then, goodness me, Denise Felix, who came up and ended up playing for the Firebirds. Gail Nagaya, who's been the head of selectors for New Zealand netball for many, many years. Rita Fatialofa, she played as well. So there were some great players in that team, and we had a fabulous time. I really, really enjoyed that tour. And we toured New Zealand. We had 3 games. I can't believe we played outside in Wellington, of all the places, windy Wellington. I go past the courts and go, oh, my God, that's where we played, on top of the hill. It was just the wind swirling.
What was your shooting accuracy that day?
Oh, I don't know. Whichever way the wind was blowing.
Who did you buddy up with along in the early days? Who were good mates back then?
Keely. Yeah, straight away, Keely and Di Atkinson, just hit it off. And also Michelle Den Decker, because she was in the team. So that was, so we all sort of started together. Yeah.
An extraordinary time. Vic, I have it upon reasonable authority that you, in terms of shooting, obviously you took it very seriously, but you're pretty disciplined in terms of taking yourself to the post. 200 goals a day, is that right?
Yeah, I was really compliant. And once I remember going down to the Institute of Sport, and Margie Caldo, again, another Australian captain and player, she was the specialist shooting coach, and she said to me, what do you look at? And I'm like, what? What do you mean, what do I look at? And I went, I don't know. I just turn and just shoot. And it was quite a bizarre question. And it's just stayed with me for years and years and years. And, Margie refined my shooting technique because I was self-taught. I taught myself out in the yard. But the reason I taught myself, I was so frustrated with my shooters because I actually played goal defence.
Okay.
And I was in the Queensland schoolgirls team as a goal defence, and we went away to national championships, and we just got smashed. A, because couldn't shoot, and B, the ball was covered in the defence end probably too much. And I came home, and Dad had made me a post in the yard, and it was on one of those, big tyres from a truck that I had to wheel around the yard so I wouldn't kill his grass. And I just used to practice and practice and practice, and my brother's mates used to come over, and I'd never allow them in the house until they threw the ball to me, and then I'd shoot my goals. So self-taught, so I had bad habits, but I knew that I had to hold the ball above my head because I had watched Annie Sargent play national championships about 4 or 5 years before that up in Brisbane. And so I thought, this isn't that hard. So I just practiced all the time. And then I made must have been the Queensland under-18 team and under-19 team. So I got this invitation to go to the Institute. So that's where my working relationship with Margie Caldo started, and refined the technique, refined the point of aim, and just instilled this work ethic of practice makes perfect. So just kept practicing, and we would come in an hour before everyone else. We would be there at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. to shoot. So, and you know, there were penalties if we missed. We needed to shoot consecutive shots. And so when I came home, I just followed that. That was my roadmap. That's what I had to do to stay accurate. And I was fine with that. I just amused myself and made everything a little competition.
Yeah, I love hearing this. I mean, I have heard that story before, but I love hearing that, Vic, because we get, you know, and as a coach yourself, and you get so many questions around the track from just, I guess, the general kid coming through, or the parent. And they always say about, you know, what is it that my daughter needs to do? You know, she wants to be more accurate. And I can't tell you how many times I've used your story as an example. It's almost like for me this, you know, like, well, the great Vicki Wilson, and this is what she did, you know. And I feel like, again, the modern day era, I'm not convinced that that's how they go about their business.
No, it's interesting, isn't it? Everyone wants the quick fix remedy for everything in life. But you know, sport has changed so much, and our game has changed tremendously over the last, you know, 20 years in particular. And, you know, whether you look at training methods and, you know, the sports science, the uniforms, the style that we play. But the one thing that hasn't changed is that you can have all the talent in the world, but unless you're prepared to work really hard and do the extra stuff, you're not going to be a superstar. So,
yeah, very interesting.
Lessons for all young kids. Yeah.
15 years in the green and gold for you. That's a long stretch. That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good innings.
Yeah, and, you know, it just sort of snowballed one after the other. I never ever, actually, at one stage I didn't think it was ever going to be that long because, and again, I don't think too many people would know, I made the team at 20, and then the following year I was dropped from the team. And I was dropped for a very good reason. After a tour, it was the World Games. Now, that was fun. That was with Keeley and Monica Bacalus, Annie Sargent, Julie Franco, Michelle Dendecker, Di Eckert. So we were on this tour, and we ended up in Paris, and just had a great time. I had too good a time, and I just porked up a treat. Yeah. And then I came home and continued just porking up. So I remember before we went to nationals, Dad asked me, he said, "So how do you think you're going to go?" And I went, "What do you mean go?" He goes, "Do you think you're going to be selected?" And I've gone, "Of course I'm going to be selected. Why wouldn't they?" I said, "I'm an up-and-comer." I said, I'm in the team. He goes, "Really?" He goes, "How do you think you're playing?" I went, "I'm all right." He goes, "What about your fitness?" I went, "It's okay." Meanwhile, I got this big tyre roll around my belly. And I remember at national championships, at the end of the tournament, and they had the finals, the president stood up and announced the Australian team. And they always announced it alphabetical. And I remember standing there going, and I was counting the shooters, and I've gone, "Oh my God." So I was always last, and I was looking at the number of people. I've gone, "Oh my God, there's more. I've got 10, and they haven't announced my name." And I could feel myself like getting worked up, going. And then I thought, no, they're going to put me in the Australian 21 team. And then they announced like the Australian squad. And I wasn't even in the squad. I dropped out of the squad. So Vicki Wilson got dropped completely. And I was just mortified to think that an up-and-coming player, a talent, a star of the future, got dropped. And then I sort of composed myself, and then I thought, "Oh my God, I'm going to be captain of the Australian under-21 team." So I wiped the tears away, and then I got ready, and then I did the count of that Australian 21, and I didn't make that one either. And I was a mess. I was an absolute mess. And I cried from the Darwin netball courts all the way back to Brisbane on a plane. I was just a mess. So I was, when I got back, I remember Dad got me a push bike, and I started riding my bike, and I certainly dropped some weight. I dropped a lot of weight. I remember even asking, could I borrow his car once? He went, no, if that's how you're on the bike. So I stripped a lot of weight and went to national championships. So the following year, and I tell you what, I never took anything for granted. You know, people going, oh, you're looking in great shape. Gee, you're playing well. I'm like, oh, well, we'll just wait and see. And it was sheer relief for my name to be read out then. It was sheer relief because it was a World Cup. It was the first World Cup. And from that day on, I just knew that nothing for granted. It's hard work. And if you don't make the effort, you're not going to make a team. So it was very much a hard lesson, because in the 86 we had a tour in the middle of the year, but it was at the 86 Nationals in October. That's where I got dropped for that next tour. But then I came in and so
reward for effort.
Tough lesson. Yeah.
Reward for effort. Good story. I like it. I'm guessing, I'm starting to sense Dad was a pretty influential figure.
Yeah, absolutely. He was pretty tough, and that his other words to me were, because I rang him up from the airport, told him to come and pick me up, because I was supposed to go back to Canberra, and he said, what do you mean? I said, just come and pick me up. And he's like, no, we don't have quitters here, and he just hung up on me. So, yeah, he was tough, but he was also really proud. And, so not that he ever came out and threw the ball with me, but he did like sitting there. He loved watching. And, at the 91 World Cup in Sydney, so at half time, it was really tense, as you can imagine. It was the first time we'd played indoors. We were playing against our old foes, New Zealand. It was neck and neck. And we had the half-time break, and then three-quarter break, Dad's gone to the toilet, apparently. And such a passionate supporter. He's got into a fight at the urinal with some Kiwi supporter. For all I know, it could have been a parent of one of the other players. But, he was in his black and white. There's Dad in his proud green and gold shirt, and someone said something, and then... so it's a bit of pushing and shoving whilst they're standing there taking a pee. I just went, and I didn't hear about it until later. I've gone, you've done what? Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah.
What a classic.
Fisticuffs in the male toilet.
Hey, Vic, with 91, tell me a little bit about JB.
Oh, yeah. JB, she was very intense. It was you enrolled in the University of Joyce Brown, the University of Life. So really fortunate we had a tour beforehand in 1990. So at the end of the year, we went to England. And we're driving, and it was a bus tour. We went around. It was an awesome, awesome tour. And I spent a lot of my time, I spent all the time, because I was getting sick from the bus, up the back lying down. And Chris Burton was our umpire, and she toured with us. And Chris, history teacher, her knowledge of history in England was just amazing. And I was just enthralled by her stories. And, we'd be driving along, then all of a sudden the bus would come to a stop near a park. And Joyce would stand up and go, everybody out of the bus. And we're like, what is going on? Like, she is just like crazy. So we got out of the bus, and it was, autumn heading in. It was November, almost winter. And there was this park, and there was just leaves everywhere. We had to go and just pick up the leaves and throw them up in the air and find the beautiful leaf that impresses you the most. And at first we're going, crazy. Yeah. And then it just, by the end we go, woohoo, love it, awesome. And then we'd be back on the bus, and then we thought we're going to a shopping centre, and next thing you know, we pull up and someone hops on the bus, and they've got boxes and boxes of books. So she'd organised to meet with someone from a print company, and all these books came on the bus. And Joyce was distributing all these books to us. She was so proud that she got us all a book so we can read. The look on Carissa Toms's face, because Carissa had never read a book. She was going through, the only book she had read was Vogue, but even then it was just looking at the pictures.
Yeah, exactly.
Carissa picked this book, this novel, and it had this woman's face on there with this big lips, and she thought it was going to be quite a, it would keep her interest, but no, it didn't last.
A unique lady, wasn't she, Joyce Brown?
Oh, she was unique, and she was very thorough. And, I remember when we came in for our first training camp after the team was announced for that 91 World Cup. She brought us we had a meeting in Marilyn Maluish's room, our manager's room, and she popped a bottle of champagne and we had strawberries, and she said, "Girls, we've been sad for those that have missed out. Now it's time for us to celebrate our achievements." And it was just, oh my goodness. Yeah, she goes, have a look at yourselves, take a look around the room. And we are the ones. We're playing a World Cup here in Sydney. Let's, from here on, keep the work going. We work hard, but let's celebrate our success to date. And at the end, let's see where we end up. But she was terrific like that. So,
wow.
But I do remember during semi-finals, so Keely Devery did her ankle, Sue Kenny hurt her foot, Shelley O'Donnell, this is all in the game against Jamaica. And we played back to back. And Keely had to ice her ankle. They just iced it on and off all night. Well, Joyce was backwards and forwards. Even though we had a physio, even though we had a doctor, Joyce was in and out of our room, just checking, watching. And she was just pacing that whole way. I don't think she slept that night.
Yeah.
So, And she loved, what was she drinking? Hot mead. Mead. Is that?
I got no idea. Funny.
So, yes. So she was great.
Yeah, with all those stories, right? And then you look at the vision, I guess, of when you won 91. It's famous vision. You with your hands up in the air. Joyce Brown jumping up off the bench. I mean, I guess is part of that a bit of relief, given that it was so big at that time, 91, you're in your hometown, the pressure, the Prime Minister's there. I just wonder whether hearing those stories, I'm starting to sense it wasn't just this is great, it was almost like relief. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think the other thing is it really was the sleeping giant woke up. Netball Australia engaged the services of a public relations guru, Lee Maloney, and she was magnificent in what she was able to do in that lead up. But to get Bob Hawke there, our Prime Minister, I don't think he'd been to a sporting event, or no Prime Minister had been to a sporting event except for the Olympics, for a female event. It was significant in so many ways for the World Cup to be played indoors. My goodness, in 87, we were playing outside in the pouring rain, wearing Dunlop volleys as grip. And then for the game to go live on the national broadcaster on ABC throughout the country. And I'm led to believe that it was the first and only time the ABC News actually didn't go to air at the right time.
Wow. Because
the game was that exciting and they kept it going. People were glued to their TVs. So I remember when we left our accommodation and we were driving down Parramatta Road to get to the venue. There happened to be a bus strike, and everyone was going to a rally. And we pulled up alongside, and a bus was full of all people who worked for that particular transport union. And they just started clapping and cheering us and go, woohoo! And we've looked and we're going, we thought they were looking at someone beside us. We looked over and go, oh my God, they're cheering for us. And we're like, oh! And then when we got to the arena and we could hear the noise, we were in the change rooms and we could hear the noise, I remember we all went out and we poked our heads around the corner, around the curtain. We're like, oh my God, like, this was just bizarre. There was just so loud. And we all got in the change room, and the change rooms at the entertainment centre had individual mirrors with all lights around it, and we all just sat there in our own individual mirror, and then we all just jumped up and just ran in. I think we all just embraced and got in the circle, and then from then on we knew we were just there to play, and it was an exciting game. So yeah, I think the little mile relief.
Yeah. Great stories, Vic. God, I'm loving hearing all of these. You copped a knee injury. Terrible one.
Yeah, 95. It was, and we were playing against, who were we playing against? New Zealand. Yeah. And because they lost to South Africa, the way the draw went, they lost to South Africa in the rounds, an upset, because South Africa hadn't been at the World Cup. That was their first time they came back in. I think they toured Australia in 95 or the end of 94 and 95 at World Cup. They just took them by surprise, and then we were all sitting there watching that game going, oh my God. And then all of a sudden we've just realised, oh my God, we're playing New Zealand tomorrow. And everything just flipped on its head. So in that game, and it was a funny surface, the court. It wasn't timber. It was a vinyl cover over a cement floor. And I still remember, Nick Cusack had the ball. I went out to the top of the circle and went to change direction. And then push off and come back to hit the goal line, and then it just collapsed underneath me. So, yeah, and I heard it crack. Once you hear that crack, you know that it's gone. But so
I've watched that vision a few times, Vic. It sits, like for all you legends of the game. Sadly, that sort of vision tends to just keep cycling. Tough to have to watch all the time. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it took me a while to watch it, and then when I watched it, then I watch it over and over again. And even like with the vision today, and you watch different sports, I watch it. Some people can't. I like to look at the injury and see what's the lead up, and look at it and I diagnose it myself. So I think we've all seen a number that have been done. Yeah. Or even Keely's, because Keely, when she did hers in 87, she just looked like a piece of spaghetti when she landed. It just came down like, ooh. So, hers was on the land.
No common thread, as we know, amongst all injuries. When ACL, look at them, you can't. I mean, you can sort of know it's happening, but they kind of all, as we say, they look innocuous, don't they? Like
yes, yeah, and some very much so. Yeah.
So 99 was the last of your time with Australia. You won the world champs. Was it controversial not being on the court?
No, I don't think it was controversial. It was, we needed to make a change. We'd started in our forward line, and Jill had been rotating us all the way through. So Jackie Delaney, Sherelle McMahon, myself, Jenny Borlays. So a change was needed. We needed to do something. At halftime, Jackie went off, Sherelle came on, and we faltered in that third quarter. So, didn't really think about it. She said, "You come off on this one," and Jenny goes on. So it was just one of those things. So for me, it was still exciting being there. But I remember that 3-quarter huddle, 7 down, and it was three turnovers. 3 times we had to gain the ball to be able to get back in the game. And, Sherelle was very, very young, and she's very bold. And she was doing the Leighton Hewitt, like, come on, we can do this. Like, she was very, very vocal.
Yeah.
And so we, to everyone's credit who was out there, just kept chipping away. And you speak about pressure for the Kiwis playing in that packed Christchurch Stadium. there was a lot of pressure on them, and so it was an awesome game. It was a wonderful, wonderful game, and to have that victory and to just snatch it and steal it away, you know, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And just quickly, and a little insight into the young Sherelle. I mean, you know, that you saying there's the youngster in amongst, you know, all of the Aussie side and saying, come on, we can do this, and goes on and has the career she has. It's no doubt, hey.
Yeah. Oh, she was always really special. I remember when she came on our first Australian tour, it was Sue Kenny's wedding and Nicole Cusack it wasn't available, and she came away to the West Indies, and she was remarkable on that tour. And, you know, just watching her develop from 95 and then in 98 in the Commonwealth Games and having her play out in front, you know, she had the speed, she had the strength, and she was a fighter. She was just a pit bull. And it was nice to have her running out in front. And she certainly had that razzmatazz and that athleticism that really gave you the creativity up in the forward line.
Yeah, very lucky. I mean, I kind of think of all of the goals that you've played with along the time. They'd say the same of you, but like, it seems to have been, it's like, as I've gone through these GORDYS Gasbags, you look back at our history of strength in the goals, it's impressive.
Yeah. And, you know, the whole Australian squad, to be named in the Australian team, like the squad, we had a great deal of depth, and it was very competitive. Our Australian training camps were so hard when the squad used to come in, and because we used to not only do match play, but we did contested work, you know, in our training sessions, and no one took it easy. Yeah, always, you know, really, really hard, but no one was a sure thing because of that continual development of the depth sitting behind us. Yeah.
Did you think you'd go into coaching?
Yeah, I always knew I would. I coached even representative teams even when I was playing, because when I was teaching, I used to take the school district team, the school side, the school district team. In fact, I coached Kylie Byrne in the Brisbane South team. So I coached her. So, you know, so for me, it was just a natural progression. And when I was with the Institute of Sport, the coaches, Gay Teague, Wilma Shakespeare, you know, they used to go out and do coaching clinics, particularly when we were in the West Indies, and they always used to drag me along. So I used to go ahead and coach with them. And as soon as I finished playing, I worked with the development team for Netball Queensland. So so finished in 99 and 2000. I was coaching at state league level.
4 years with the Firebirds, 2 years with the Silver Ferns, last couple of years with Fiji. That's a pretty diverse little sort of resume of coaching. What have you learned from, I guess, taking on the Firebirds job to finishing with Fiji? What's Vicki, the coach? I don't know. Have you changed, or are you a different person, or how have you grown, or?
Oh, you certainly grow. The more you coach, you learn your craft. And actually, I was 4 years with the Ferns. I think you only said 2. So, yeah. And then, but I also coached out in, out in the grass courts of Downey Park. I coached my cousin's, kids team. So even when I was being the assistant coach for the Silver Ferns, I was out coaching at Downey Park on a Saturday afternoon. 2 premiers, I might just add. How's this? I remember going up to the ladies in the committee room going, I think you've got us in the wrong division. No, you have to stay there. And this is the 14-year-old team.
I'm going, was that lady's name Shirley?
I could have been. I just went, I really think, we played, no, you got to stay there. Anyway, the next week when we won by, 50 goals again, I'm going, I really believe we're in the wrong division. No one can move. And then by the third week, I went, you have to move us or put us on a penalty, so that, you know, we're minus 50 to start.
Yeah.
So we played right through to the end of the first round, and then we had to go up a division.
Yeah.
Now so you learn your craft by coaching more and more, the more exposure you get. So doing that, and then also having coached the development group with the Firebirds, and then taking on the Firebirds, and then working with the Ferns. So you keep learning, and you're always, as a coach, I think you always got to be curious. You've always got to see what's next, and you want to keep being better so you can help your athletes being better. And, you know, with Fiji, having to be really creative. And, you know, one of the greatest things that I did with them was to take that under-21 team to the World Cup in Botswana. And for us to finish 4th at that World Under-21 Championships is absolutely incredible, because we're just a freckle in the ocean, Fiji. And for them the girls to be able to get themselves in a position to play off, you know, for 3rd and 4th was absolutely amazing. And, you know, we never trained on a full-size court before we got there. And we never had we never had the whole team on the court at any one time. So we hadn't had match play since, you know, just 5 months beforehand. So it really made me think about the way to do things and just how creative I could be. Yeah. They loved games. They loved any type of competition, which all athletes do, but just the way you couch it the whole time. So it was interesting. So as a coach, you do change. You change all the way through. If I look back to the coach I was when I was teaching at school, very, very different. And you learn from others, and you know that just because something worked with Fiji doesn't mean it's going to work with someone else. And you're above anything else, you really have to know your playing group and where you're at with them. Yeah.
So what now for you then? What's you know, we're all like, obviously we're not working, but what's next for you? You're not still, Fiji's done and dusted?
Yeah, Fiji done and dusted. So I've been doing a lot of coach education. So I'm working with Wellington Pulse, or the Central Pulse in New Zealand. So I think I should have been back there this week. So a really talented shooting lineup: Amelia and Ekanasio, Aaliyah Dunn and Tiana Matura, and plus a couple of the others who sit in their Beko League. Right. So working with them and working with Yvette, their coach, is just absolutely fabulous. And Waitamanu is the high performance manager for the Central region. So I've been working with them since the end of last year. Oh, wow. So it would have, I hope those borders open up. I'd love to be able to go back over and continue that work with them. I also was really fortunate to do work over in Scotland at the end of last year, and also with the London Pulse. And so it would be great to be able to go back for the London Pulse. And I don't know how their season, I don't think the UK is going
as well.
We'll put their season back on. Yeah. So that's really tough. So, but a lot of coach education around here. So that's kept me really busy. Beg your pardon?
Do you want a team? Do you want to go and head coach?
Yeah, absolutely.
Am I allowed to ask, do you want the Aussie team?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You can ask. Yeah, you can ask.
Good.
So, you know, I've played for my country, I've captained my country, and to coach my country, I'd love to do it. It'd be a great privilege, and it's the top of the tree. It's something that everyone in coaching aspires to. It's the number one job. So, you know, I've been offshore for the last 7 years, and any opportunity to coach a team here in Australia, I'd have to, you know, seriously consider it. So with that in mind, with that question in mind, and your answer just then, so you're saying to me that if, for example, a Suncorp Super Netball team position was up and it wasn't in Queensland, you'd consider it? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Good job, you.
Yeah. You know, I'm passionate about our game. I love what our athletes do. I thoroughly enjoy coaching. I love to see athletes be better every time they step out. I like to challenge them. I like them to become a little bit uncomfortable. I think that's the only way we can become better. I'm just, it's that adrenaline of competing, of being the best.
Yeah. Vic, have you been watching any Netflix lately? Are you Netflix?
Yeah.
Have you watched the Michael Jordan?
Not yet. Not yet. I had to finish Ozarks.
Oh, yeah. I've done that.
So friends said it was great. But we did have a discussion and they said it was interesting. Luke Longley wasn't mentioned. I've gone, what's that all about? So, yeah, but probably for the American market.
Yeah, well, his vision is in amongst a couple of the episodes. But, yeah, it's I don't know, a lot of the way in which at times I see you talk with your confidence and, you know, I think that sometimes I think that level of confidence gets misunderstood and it's not arrogant. Like, it can be seen as arrogance or it can just be seen as I want to be the best. And I kind of feel like there's a part of that in you. I've always thought that of you. We always talk about Vicki Wilson with the strut, you know, and I reckon it's great. So I'd love you to watch it. I'd love to have a chat with you and see what you think about it.
Yeah, well, I look forward to watching it. So that's certainly next on the list.
Hey, Vic, thanks, mate. Terrific.
Gordy, my pleasure. Pleasure.
You're a great storyteller.
There's heaps. There's heaps. I just would like to finish with this one because this was the highlight for me. So to go to the West Indies, you had to normally go through Miami in the US. And this is with the Institute. Institute side. And we had a layover and we had about 8 hours to kill. So we were taken, Wilma Shakespeare, Gaytee, they took us to the local shopping mall. So they dropped us off and they said, be back here at this time, blah, blah, blah. So it's about, 4 hours we had to kill in this shopping mall. We've all looked at one another and went, we don't want to shop, we want to go to the beach. Anyway, we stood at the bus stop, we've taken ourselves down to the beach. And then we had this great day, we're all just lying there on the beach, going in the water. And then we decided to catch that same bus back. We're sitting there waiting, and the bus, there was just no buses. We're just like, bloody hell, we're in so much trouble. We just couldn't, get a bus. So we decided to flag down the next car. It was an ambulance. We all piled in the back of an ambulance. Got taken back to the mall. It was great. It was so... Siren blazing.
Did Wilma and Gay ever know that? No. They do now.
That was a lot of fun. Lots of laughs.
Yeah. And I think those are the highlights. I mean, playing the game is one thing, but those special memories, without a doubt, they stand out, don't they?
Oh, they do. They do. Yeah. When you catch up with everyone and you can share those stories and have a few laughs and a few drinks, it's really nice to do.
Yeah. Good on you, Vic. It's great to see you. You're looking great. I'm excited to see what happens for you. Good luck with Pulse. Hopefully, as you say, the borders open up and anything else that might pop up in the not too distant future for you. Congratulations on your 104, mate. Absolute champion.
Thanks, Gordy. Catch up.
Good on you. Guys, that's GORDY's Gas Bags for another night. We'll be back again tomorrow night. We're here all week. All right. See you later.